Well, it's that time again. Thursday. It's Reason Speak. It's Secular TV. I'm Sidney Winston, also known as Ask an Atheist. Today we have our usual panel of international guests. We have Damien from Australia, and we have Nathaniel from Israel with us right now.
Mushy mushy.
Mushy mushy to you, whatever. And
yeah, we speak Japanese in Israel, didn't you know?
oh, is that right? Okay, cool. Well, it sounds the same to everybody. Yeah. We're also expecting Mental Outlaw to join us as well.
Yeah, man, I'm here.
Okay. Oh, there he is. Mental Outlaw is here, and he looks like, well, like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the connection for my webcam so that my eternal sexiness can be broadcast.
Okay, well, we'll get to your eternal sexiness last because it's eternal. So we'll start with those whose sexiness is not eternal. Hi, Nathaniel.
Hi. Is there something you wanted to say to me?
Yes, between you and me, I found out that both of us, our sexiness is not eternal. So I just.
Oh well, this is true. This is absolutely true. I would agree with that.
Okay, and you do live in Israel, right? You're not. This is not like a one of those conspiracy theories that there is no Israel, or you don't live in Israel, or you really live in. You're kind of in the room next door.
I do actually.
How are we going to confirm that you actually do live in the broiling center of broiling atrocities and genocide? How can you prove that to us?
Can't.
Okay.
I could show you pictures, but it could be anywhere. I could just say where they are, of course. And
well, we'll get to
and I could have taken them at an earlier time. There's no way for me to prove it right now.
Okay.
Unless
well,
it was
let's just move on then.
Give us a timestamp.
Yeah. I don't think so.
Okay. Now I know that Damien went to get coffee, but I don't know if he's back yet. Are you back yet? No, he's not. All right, Kenny. Hey.
What's good, man? I'm sorry I flaked on you the past couple times. I hate being that guy.
No, the shows weren't as good as they normally would have been if you were there, but that's fine. That's fine. You can make up for it today.
Yep.
You can rip the floor apart today, no problem. And now,
well,
Kenny,
it seems like something I actually know something about, so I can actually contribute to the show. I was saying, your topic seems like something I actually know some shit about, so awesome. I can actually contribute.
Just to remind me again,
what is the topic?
Isn't it free speech is not free? Come on, Sid, get your shit together.
Okay.
That's always the topic, though. I think that's his
Kenny, the comedian.
No, it was something about Israel last time, and I'm really ignorant when it comes to Israel. I don't know any jack shit about what's going on there.
No, we're going to ignore Israel maybe. Well, we won't ignore Israel, but we won't focus on Israel. How's that?
You told
what
me
I do want to do though, and this is on a more
oh, fuck me, a Death Lord. Fuck.
Okay, listen, hold on, Nathaniel.
I'm listening.
Focus.
I am focused.
All right. Okay, what I do want to do is I'm going to run this. I'm fucking angry, man. And when I get angry, I run videos, and I tell you what I'm angry about. Now, I'm going to run this video. I'm going to share it. You shut up or mute yourself while it's running. And then maybe we can even talk about it.
I'm waiting on you. This is your job. I'm waiting on you. What are you doing?
Oh, you seem very irritated.
I am. I really am. I feel like this crap is what I'm getting the ticket for. I've been getting out of your way. You were speeding up, tailing me. So I move over and you stop me. So yeah, I am a little irritated, but that doesn't stop you from giving me a ticket. So.
Are you done?
You asked me what was wrong and I told you.
Okay.
So now I'm done, yeah.
Okay. You mind putting out your cigarette, please? Don't mind.
I'm in my car, but I have to put out my cigarette.
Well, you can step on out now.
I don't have to step out of my car.
Step out of the car. Step out of the car.
No, you don't have the right.
Step out of the car.
You do not have the right to do that.
I do have the right. Now step out or I will remove you.
I refuse to talk to you other than to identify myself.
Step out or I will remove you.
I am getting removed for a failure.
Step out or I will remove you. I'm giving you a lawful order. Get out of the car now, or I'm going to remove you.
And I'm calling my.
I'm going to yank you out of here.
Okay, you're going to yank me out of my car?
Get out.
Okay. All right.
25.
Let's do this.
Yeah, we're going to.
Yeah. Don't touch me.
Get out of the car.
Don't touch me. I'm not under arrest. You don't have the right to take
You are under arrest.
I'm under arrest for what?
25.
For what?
7 County FM 1098.
For what?
290. Send me to the unit. Get out of the car. Get out of the car now.
Why am I being apprehended? You're trying to give me a ticket.
I said get out of the car.
Why am I being apprehended? You
I'm
just
giving
opened
you a
my
lawful
car
order.
door.
I'm going to drag you out of here.
So you threatening to drag me out of my own car.
Get out of the car.
And then you
I will light you up. Get out.
Wow.
Now.
Wow.
Get out of the car.
For a failure to signal. You're doing all of this for a
Get
failure.
over there.
Right, yeah. Yeah, let's take this to court. Let's do
Go
it.
ahead.
For a failure to signal. Yep, for a failure to signal.
Get off the phone.
On my school.
Get off the
I'm
phone.
not on the phone. I have a right
Put
to
your
court.
phone
This is my
down.
property.
Put your phone down.
Sir?
Put your phone down. Right now. Put your phone down.
For a failure to signal my business.
Come over here.
Y'all are interested.
Come over here now.
You feeling good about yourself?
Stand right
You
here.
feeling good about yourself?
Stand right
For
there.
a failure to signal, you feel real good
Turn
about yourself,
around.
don't you?
Turn around.
You feel good about yourself, don't
Turn
you?
around now.
That's it.
Texas.
Hold on a second, but I'm fucking pissed. That makes me angry. Jesus, that makes me angry. It makes me more angry than when I see the beheadings in Syria. When I see shit like this, that's pure, simple, unadulterated, nothing but racism.
What are you talking about? He's protecting and serving.
Yes,
He's
protecting
there
and serving
protect
white
and serve.
with a gun.
Yeah, you know. That might have been a terrorist. We don't know.
I'm seething. How about you? How about any of you?
Well, let me put it this way. He was absolutely wrong to handle that situation that way, and frankly, the police should just be trained better. But I have never refused an order from a cop, ever. So I don't really have a comment on that. Maybe I'm just a goody two-shoes.
Why did you have to put out a cigarette? I mean, why did they just...
Well, actually, they have... I'm not a cop, but they have rules. You're not supposed to take your hands off the wheel. You're not supposed to... So that means if you're smoking a cigarette...
Never told me not taking hands off the wheel.
That is the law in America.
Not in America.
Yeah, well, that is actually the law in America, I believe. When you are pulled over, you have to stop, you have to pull to the side, and you have to basically keep your hands on the wheels, and if you don't, then they have cause to arrest you, because the fact is that there's a reason for that.
Okay, let's just leave that alone. Okay, let's just follow along. This video, after this woman was arrested, she was taken to jail. She basically landed up hanged in a cell.
Yes, and again, I think he grossly mishandled this. There's no doubt about that in my mind. You know, he didn't have to arrest her. He could have handled this better. Police are supposed to handle this sort of thing much better. I mean, they're supposed to be trained for this.
This police, I'm sorry, I don't see any excuse for that at all. None, zero.
I agree with you. I mean, I think that he badly mishandled it. There's no question in my mind.
He didn't mishandle it. It wasn't a mishandle. It was a crime. It was a crime. He basically committed a crime against this woman.
How?
How?
There's a difference between negligence.
Did you see the video?
Yeah, I did. I watched it.
Well, then why are you asking me how?
again, what did he do that's illegal?
Well, I think
I'm
there's
not saying. Well,
Firstly,
let
he
me
put his hands
clarify
on her.
because people are going to call me racist and all sorts of things.
Hold
And
on
if
now.
you do, fuck you.
You
But
just asked the question. Backpedal.
right, I want to explain.
That was illegal. You don't have to explain. You asked the question. Okay, what
Right,
did he
but
do that was illegal? Okay.
I said there's a difference between negligence.
You asked the question.
Right. Okay.
Now I'm going to put my 2 cents in.
Right.
What did he do that was illegal? In my opinion, he touched her at the wrong time for no reason. That was okay. Let's start there.
That's not illegal.
In that situation, I think it was. What do you think, Kenny?
Why? It's completely.
Anybody support me?
Well, I'm not sure about the steering wheel thing as far as whether you have to keep your hands on the wheel or not. I know cops want you to, but I don't know if that's something you're required to do. As far as telling her to put the phone down, I think that's illegal because I'm pretty sure that you can film the police in Texas. So that part would have been illegal. And obviously he got upset because this is something that the cops typically do when they're dealing with a citizen that actually knows their rights. That's something that pisses cops off, is when you actually do know your rights. I've had several situations where it wasn't an issue with a cigarette, but it was issues where cops wanted to search my car or search, well, my friend's car for drugs. And I know my rights when it comes to illegal searches and seizures. Mm-hmm. They get really pissed off when you tell them no and when you know your rights. So
right.
I'm pretty sure that's what we're witnessing here.
Right. I'm not denying that, but first of all, in America, you're supposed to keep your hands on the steering wheel, and I'm not denying that she has a right to record that. I'm just saying that when he confronts her about that, he's in the wrong. But it's not, what he did wasn't technically illegal.
Okay, all right. Let's talk about the actual offense. What she did, she's driving along and she changed lanes without signaling. That was her offense, and that's why he pulled her over. Okay.
Right.
So for that offense, you tell me where anything other than the fact that he pulled her over and was talking to her. He got offended by her smoking a cigarette in the car. That's what started it all. Now, I don't know if that's illegal to smoke a cigarette in the car, and then if he's allowed to be yanking at her and at the same time say, yes, by the way, you are under arrest. That's
I'm pretty sure
wrong.
he has to tell her. I'm pretty sure they have to tell you that you're under arrest before they can.
No, they can. They can make you get out of the car without arresting you. That's absolutely legal. He went way overboard. I'm not saying that he didn't, and I think he's wrong. But I don't know if that is technically illegal what he did. You understand what I'm saying? There's a difference there.
I think something needs to be.
Then why am I so shocked? If it's so illegal, why am I so shocked?
Because he's an asshole. That's why.
I think something needs to be clarified, though. I know it's definitely the case here in Australia. I'm pretty sure it's the same in America. The police can ask you almost anything, but you don't have to comply with everything they ask. You only have to comply with certain things. Now, if they ask you a question or ask you to do something that you don't have to comply with, like, say, for example, her putting her cigarette out, that doesn't mean he's asked her to do something illegal. That just means that she doesn't have to legally comply.
Right. He maintained that was the reason, for as far as I can tell, that he was, going to go in there and fucking pull out his gun and yank her. I mean, for fuck's sake, come on.
He pulled out his taser, didn't he?
He pulled out a firearm. How does she know what it is in the type? Yeah, that's why she got out of the car. She saw this fucking thing, this revolver in his hand, and she was out of that car. Thank you, no problem. I'm out of here. And I would have done exactly the same thing. Or maybe I would have died a hero, tried to be a martyr. I don't know.
Huh. Yeah, probably would have done the same. I'm not saying his actions didn't end up being illegal or anything. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying the initial questioning was not illegal. At
But
least
you know,
here in
this is
Australia, anyway.
this is something we've seen a million times before, and this guy, of course, he's not gonna get into any trouble for doing this at all. He's, you know, worst case scenario, he gets a 1 week paid vacation.
I saw something yesterday. I either read it or saw it on a video or something that they're looking at opening up a homicide investigation into it now.
Well, I think they were saying that because I was kind of reading the article about it, because I saw that she hanged herself, and as far as that, I don't think the cop would get into trouble, because if she went into the jail cell and said that I'm suicidal, there's a special unit that they put you in when you're suicidal and you go to jail, and what they have to do is, I believe they put you in a yellow jumpsuit and they give you a blanket that is impossible to tie into a noose.
Right.
And that's what you get when you go into the suicidal place. So if she mentioned that she was suicidal and they didn't follow that procedure, that would be people in the jail.
They did ask if, in fact, here, listen to this. I'm going to share this one with you as well.
Okay.
This is the phone call she made while she was in jail.
Explosive new details in the Sandra Bland investigation. The local sheriff says on the day officers put the 28-year-old in this jail cell, the intake form noted Bland had attempted suicide once using pills, but she was not feeling suicidal today.
I know the family has questions, and the most important thing is to make sure all the facts are put on the table.
Hello, ma'am. This information was released as video of Bland's arrest from Texas State Trooper Brian Encinius dash cam gains attention.
Oh, you seem very irritated.
I am. I really am.
The trooper asked Bland to put out her cigarette. She refused. The situation escalated.
Step out of the car.
You do not have the right to do that.
Step out, or I will remove you. I'm giving you a lawful order. Get out of the car now, or I'm going to remove you.
Seconds later, the officer pointed his stun gun at Bland.
So you threatening to drag me out of my own car?
Get out of the car!
And then
I will light you up. Get out!
Former NYPD Detective Nick Casal told us the trooper crossed the line.
It appears that he's starting now to climb the mountain of escalation in this situation.
Bland's family is infuriated.
I simply feel like the officer was picking on her. Point blank, period.
How the traffic stop ended with an arrest even seemed to baffle Bland. KTRK TV obtained a voicemail believed to be Bland calling a friend from jail.
I'm still just at a loss for words, honestly, about this whole process. How this switching lanes with no signal turned into all of this.
Also late tonight, we've learned her autopsy is complete, but no word on when the results will be released. Kenneth Moten, ABC News, Washington.
Well, there you have it.
Again, I think he crossed the line, but I don't know if it's technically illegal. I'm not a lawyer, man. You know.
There are so many. There is there's abuse of a person. There's abuse of a woman. There's the violence, the trauma, everything. There's just everything wrong about what he did. Absolutely everything. I have absolutely nothing.
Let me make it clear. If I was in charge, I would definitely, first of all, I would fire him, because he obviously
fire him.
It's unprofessional behavior, and you can't have a cop with unprofessional behavior, because there are obviously life and death situations. I would not keep him around. I would not defend this guy. But what I'm saying is, I'm not so sure that his order to make her come out of the car was technically illegal. I don't think that it was. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but I think that a cop can actually make you do that.
I just don't see anything remotely civilized about what this guy did.
I didn't say it was civilized.
And would he have done that if that was a white woman? And would he have done that if that was a male, a white male, a black male? That was just a bully. That was just a fucking bully with a gun. You see, he stuck the gun right through the window, right at her, right in her face.
I totally agree with you. I'm not saying that he was in the right. I'm not, but there's a difference between being unprofessional and a bully and wrong, and essentially being completely in violation of the law. I'm not I'm not a lawyer, but there seems to me a big difference. Again, I'm not saying what he did was right. I'm not, but I've never. Let me put it again. If a cop tells me to get out of the car and seems really bent on it, I'm going to get the fuck out of the car. I do not screw around with the police. It's just a rule I live by. If a cop tells me, unless I'm actually on the lam or something, I'm going to do what the fuck he says. I'm not saying that she was wrong to claim her rights, etc. I don't know what her rights are, but again, I've been told to stop by police many times, and I've never disobeyed an order.
Okay, look, there's also a dark humor side.
And I'm white,
and we have to go there because this is all about free speech, and there is a place for dark humor. Maybe it's too early, but fuck it.
Yeah.
The thing is, smoking kills. Now, if she wasn't a smoker, she wouldn't have irritated the cop. So, you kids out there, don't take up smoking. It's likely to get you killed.
That's right. Smoke marijuana instead.
Well,
and then you'll remember to put your signal on and change lanes and stuff.
Actually, I do have to go on record here. If you smoking weed and you're smoking it unfiltered, it's worse for your lungs, unless you're like.
No, you're a little bit wrong there.
Why? How would you say that it's not?
Do you know how much? Do you know how many cigarettes the average cigarette smoker smokes in one day?
20. Yeah, about a pack a day, 20. Yeah.
Okay. Do you know how many joints the average marijuana smoker smokes in a day?
That's the thing. I know some people smoke like 5 to 7 joints a day, and they're unfiltered.
Okay. Well, what if people just hit the pipe?
Well, hold on. Let me handle this. Yeah. I got this. Right. So your average marijuana smoker doesn't even smoke joints every single day. They smoke maybe once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. So
yeah, in that case, it's not. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're taking in far less combusted plant material than tobacco, and that's even if the levels of carcinogens in tobacco and marijuana were the same, which they're not. There's marijuana doesn't cause cancer in people. It doesn't. There's no correlation between lung cancer and using marijuana. There's no correlation between lung health and using marijuana. So I just had to correct you there. That's not true.
Yeah, no. Well, I don't think that putting any sort of if you told me that eating marijuana is not going to hurt you in any way, I would completely agree. My beef with marijuana is more to do with smoking it than people who eat it or whatever. And like you said, if people are smoking it a couple of times a week or whatever, that's really never going to hurt them. But I'm talking about, I know some people who literally smoke 5, 6, 7 joints a day, and it's all unfiltered, and they tell me how great it is that they don't smoke cigarettes. But meanwhile, they're smoking a lot of joints every day.
Do any of these people have cancer?
Well, no.
Okay, well, hey, enough said. All right, what else should we talk about?
Yeah, still, just as a final note with the weed thing, I would recommend you vaporize or, do edibles instead of smoking. Smoking would definitely be the last resort. Or if you're going to smoke, at least use a bong. It filters it a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. I think bongs are great, and I think people should use them more. No, it's just that I've heard so many people essentially tell me how great it is they don't smoke cigarettes, and meanwhile, they're smoking up a ton of joints every day, and it's just kind of a ridiculous argument that they're making when they do that. That's my personal opinion.
What's the carcinogen ratio of joints to cigarettes?
I don't. I really don't know. I don't think it's actually properly been researched, to be quite honest.
Well, we know there's carcinogens in cigarettes, right?
Absolutely, 100%. There's no doubt about it.
The carcinogens in joints.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Then why are you giving your opinion if you don't know?
Well, I mean,
I'm calling you out on this one.
No, because there is proof that it's not good for your lungs.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I'm not sure of the exact amount.
Breathing the air in Beijing is not good for your lungs.
Right, exactly. So I don't breathe the air in Beijing, and when I went to Shanghai, I tried to breathe as little as possible. Actually,
well, I mean,
you get no argument for me there, my friend.
Here's the thing when it comes to the carcinogens in marijuana versus tobacco smoke. So I've researched this before, and if I remember correctly, it's either close to the amount of carcinogens in tobacco smoke or possibly more, but there's two main things that they left out there. It's the amount of smoke that you're taking in, which we already confirmed the average marijuana smoker is taking in far less smoke than the tobacco smokers, and it's the type of carcinogens, because there's carcinogens in virtually everything. There's carcinogens in fucking chicken nuggets, but it's obviously not as bad for you as, say, cigarette smoke.
Right.
So those are the two things that they kind of left out. You know, this is the fucking, you know, the Nancy Grace type studies where they very specifically, you look like you're made out of stone. You don't look stone, you're just made out of stone. But yeah, it's like these are the Nancy Grace-esque studies where they'll find one thing that seems like it's bad, but they don't give you this extra information that actually tells you what's really going on.
Yeah. I agree. I'm not disagreeing.
All right. Well, that's good.
Sounds like religion.
No, again, I said I have no problem with people.
Hold on a sec, guys. How about we talk about this arrest, but from a different point of view? Let's talk about this incident from the feminist point of view, from the point of view just of, I don't know if there's such a thing, but a female point of view.
You want to mansplain it?
No, as the victim being in the situation she was in simply because of her gender and perhaps her race. But let's just talk about the gender part of it.
Yes, let's have the Canadian white guy explain the black female American's point of view.
I don't want to explain it. I can't. I want to discuss it. I want to get a feel for it. I want to get a feel for the feminist viewpoint.
I actually don't really see the point because it's all speculation. And here's
it's not. It's all on the video. This woman was terrorized by a policeman. She was terrorized.
No,
it's terrorized.
It's speculation to say it was done because she was a woman or because she was black.
Let's drop that. Let's drop that then. It's
probably likely it was, but we don't know that for a fact.
Let's agree that she was terrorized.
Definitely, she was.
I wouldn't say she was terrorized. I think that's a very specific word. But I would say that, clearly he's bullying her. Clearly he may be at fault in some way. But I'm not a lawyer. This is really going to have to go to the courts, frankly. And I think it probably will. But I think no, because I'm not a lawyer.
Yes.
Neither are you, might I add.
We are absolutely lawyers. We're internet lawyers.
We're
hangout lawyers.
No, yes. I don't know enough.
We are warriors for justice. How can we not be lawyers? Come on.
No,
we are warriors for.
I'm not an SJW.
Excuse me? Yeah, I'm not gonna look again. I think that she shouldn't have been arrested. Case in point, I think he was absolutely wrong to do what he did. Okay, and she should not have ended up in jail. I agree that when she said, I read the article and she said essentially, I don't understand how getting pulled over can land me in jail for so many days. This is not making any sense. I totally agree with her that it was just way out of hand. But as to the question of whether the law is in a sense is wrong or whether the law was broken is another matter.
It was so broken. It was the law of common decency was broken right there.
There is no law of common decency. Sorry.
There certainly is a law of common decency, and I also think that the terrorism, the act of terrorism that this policeman committed on this woman is enough to get this guy in some serious trouble and incarcerated for the rest of his life. That's my opinion. What do you think? Hi, Randy.
Okay.
Oh, I mean.
All right,
Yeah,
again,
I mean,
what,
I don't.
what law did he break?
Well, I'm pretty sure that he broke the law with the cell phone thing. I mean, that's the only law that I'm fairly certain
He had no
that
reason to
broke.
pull out the stun gun. That was a lawbreaker right there.
Well, I mean, that's
Stick
not.
it in the face.
But he's
Light
not,
you up.
But
Well, who
Sid,
the hell is he talking to?
Sid, we both know he's not. Okay, we both know this guy's not going to get in trouble because there's been cops that have shot people in cold blood and did not even get in trouble.
This guy
so
needs
he's
to be
obviously
incarcerated for the rest of his life.
I mean, I wouldn't even say that much. I would say that there should be punishment, but we both know it's not going to happen.
There's your.
Now, the question I have is, what's the deal with her death? Was it truly a suicide, or did someone else kill her?
I don't think
and frame it as a suicide?
No, I think that she really did kill herself.
That's my question. And if she did kill herself, if she was suicidal, why was she not put in a suicide cell?
Can we introduce Randy into the conversation? Randy, how you doing?
Hey,
Welcome.
The beard is red.
This is a very interesting conversation. I didn't know if you guys were live still or what when I saw the link, so I just popped in.
Yeah, we're live.
It
did you see the
like-
video? You know what we're talking about, right?
It's not. Well, that's the video of the woman who got arrested. It was just the part where she got arrested, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then she, went to jail and committed suicide.
Right.
So there are some issues that make me. I mean, I'm not saying she didn't, but it make me kind of reasonably doubt: did she actually kill herself?
Well, did you see or did you listen to the audio of the voicemail that she left for her friend from jail?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I'll play that for you again if you like.
That might change my mind. We'll see.
All right. I mean, it doesn't seem to me that she killed herself at all basically because of this particular. Hold on a minute. I'm just gonna pop.
Well, while we're doing that.
Okay. Here it goes. Hold on. I got it.
I just want to say this real quick.
Oh.
You've been kicking ass on these videos on your channel.
Who you talking to?
Mental Outlaw.
Ah, nice.
Hey, thanks, man.
Well, tell us some more. What does that mean? Tell us.
Tell me more about my greatness.
Talk about Kenny. Talk about Kenny for a few seconds.
All right. So, if you guys
hold on a second. Randy, I'm sorry. Let me just play this clip. Let's get this topic behind us, and then we'll.
Then we'll talk about Kenny.
I just have to screen share it with you guys.
I'm still just at a loss for words, honestly, about this whole process. How this switching lanes with no signal turned into all of this.
Also late tonight, we've learned her autopsy.
That was it. That was her call from jail. Does that sound like somebody who's going to kill herself?
I didn't really.
What?
I didn't really. I'm echoing back.
Yeah, you gotta wear your headphones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of skeptical too about whether or not she killed herself because, when she's first of all, when she's getting arrested, she's talking about, I'm gonna sue you. Obviously, you don't make plans to sue somebody if you're gonna kill yourself. She's calling her friend, and I feel like if she truly was going to kill herself, she would make some kind of mention of it to her friend, maybe try to do some, type of prepping, be like...
Wait, you are aware that she has tried to kill herself like 2 or 3 times before, and she had scars on her arms from trying to do that?
I'm aware of that, but what I'm saying is a lot of the time when people kill themselves, they make kind of preparation to go out. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like they make.
Well, yeah, sometimes. Although I know because
I mean, not all the time, but sometimes.
I have friends who have done it, and they never gave a clue. Yeah.
Like for example, I had one time where I tried to kill myself, and when I did that, I told my friend basically where all my money was and where all my drugs were. And I was like, you know, you can have this. That's what I did.
You're a good friend. You're a really good friend.
Well, I can't fucking use them, you know. I can't you know, sell coke and...
You don't want the cops to get it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, I can't use the coke. I can't fucking...
You don't want your mom to find
weed,
your porn collection, right? You know. There you go.
I actually did. I mean, I actually did that too. I formatted my hard drive on my computer before I tried to...
See, porn collection these days has such a different connotation. But anyway, but I understand, but okay, yeah, maybe they killed her to shut her up because they knew that she was suicidal in the past. Although, honestly,
well, hold on a second.
You really have
killed
to
her
prove that.
to shut her up because they knew she was suicidal in the past. In the past, that doesn't mean.
Yeah, because it's a good excuse. No, because it's a good excuse. You know, if she was they knew that she was suicidal in the past, so it would be pretty easy to make the case, oh, she was suicidal, so she hung herself.
Right.
However, you would really have to prove that in a court of law.
Okay. Okay. Hold on a minute. An autopsy of a person who commits suicide, and the autopsy of that same person who is murdered by hanging, would there be much difference?
No.
No.
No struggling, no extra bruises, no.
No, there would be struggle though. There would be.
Well, they could. Yeah, that's true. I suppose. Yeah.
I mean, unless they sedated her, but if they sedated her, then that would show up.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
It's really hard when you get an autopsy into the situation to fake a suicide. It's really difficult to do that.
Now, that guy said on the news that the autopsy results were out, but he didn't say that they were published. So that would be my next.
Look, if they find something wrong, then obviously I would say that is pretty likely, and that should just go. Look, I think it should go to court anyway, because the fact is, if she had been suicidal and she wasn't in a suicide watch, they were negligent, and they in fact they broke the law. So in that case, yes, that should go to court. There's no doubt in my mind that they were negligent because they didn't put her on a suicide watch, and they should have. You have to do that. So I mean with that I side on the they did break the law thing. You know. I think it's fairly clear.
All I have to do is watch the video. If you watch the arrest video, it is so clear that guy overreacted, that woman should have never been arrested in the first place. I mean, the whole stop was over a failure to signal. Failure to fucking signal. I agree. Now she's dead. That cop deserves to be fucking... There's so many cops we have on our force today that deserve to be fucking fired. And it's just...
No, that cop deserves to be taken out of society. That's my judgment. That cop needs to be removed from society.
Yeah, exactly. Here's what they should do. I was actually reading something in the Quran recently because I've been planning on doing some Islam videos. There's some shit that they do where I think it's if you commit apostasy. They cut off your left hand and your right foot and then throw you into the outskirts of town and basically say fend for yourself.
No, your right hand, I believe.
So let's do that.
Your right hand and your left foot, I believe.
Oh, okay. Right hand, left foot.
Jesus Christ, can you get it right?
Now, the reason why they do your right hand and not your left hand is because of the communal pots that they use to feed. Essentially, it was a death sentence. It was a death sentence by starvation. Because you can no longer, because your left hand was used to clean yourself after you go to the bathroom, and you could not use your left hand to reach into the communal pot for food because it was considered dirty, so you would have to use your right hand. If you didn't have a right hand, you could no longer you could no longer feed from the common pool of food.
Why can't you put your stump in and just get as much as you can?
Well, because you can't fucking pick up peas and rice or whatever the fuck they eat with your stump.
Yeah, exactly. You just scoop it up with your stump becomes like almost like a spoon.
But let's do that. I mean, you know, none of us like Sharia law, but we could implement it against the police.
God, we should just take those fucking police right out of society and show and really set an example. Set an example as a community, as a country, as a as a national community that we're not going to you're going to stand for this shit anymore because it's happening over and over and over and every day and it's just too much. I can't stand it anymore. So America, please, people of America, stand up to your policemen, throw them in jail where they belong, take them out of society, and get some good, decent people from your community who know what it's like to treat other people like human beings. Thank you.
Yes, I agree. The police suck. Now let's talk about how awesome Kenny is.
You can't.
Okay, now talk about that.
You can't just. It's not so easy though. That's the problem. So there should be probably a system where citizens can fire a cop. There should be, but there's not. There's not an easy way to get rid of a police officer. You have to. I mean, you got to have the police chief and a whole bunch of other people basically on your side in order to get rid of the cop.
But you were going to talk about Kenny's videos, were you not?
Yeah.
Tell Kenny how awesome he is. He needs to know.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Right.
Sorry, I was in the middle of a different point, and so it's hard to...
Sorry.
It's okay. You can think about your praise.
That crack is really good. Think about your praise. That's
the fuck. Where did that come from?
Think about your praise.
Yeah. I know. I watched that the evolution video you did recently.
About Zakir Naik. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say that.
How long is it?
It's about 14 minutes. I think you would actually like it, Sid, because I know you kind of...
give us the link and I'll put it into the onto the YouTube detail.
Okay, sure. Yeah, it's there's this guy.
Actually,
named,
I'll just give me the link to the channel.
Yeah, I'm fucking. Where do you want? I'll just put it in the chat. Fuck
just
it.
Put it in the chat and I'll transfer it out somehow.
I'm trying to figure it out.
I'll find some. You help me.
Yeah, give me a minute. But anyway, yeah, this guy Zakir Naik is basically a Muslim apologist, and he said a lot of stupid crap, and there's going to be more videos of him to come. So he attempted to undermine evolution, and the fuck is this about? YouTube doesn't want me to post a link there, so I'll do it over here.
I'll post it wherever you like.
Yeah, why am I logged in as secular TV? That's weird. Anyway, he's this Muslim apologist guy, and it's the same exact thing that goes on with, the regular Christian apologists. Is just in Islam, and he was trying to say shit like, oh, evolution, it's just a theory, and, what else did he say? Oh, he was trying to say that a theory becomes a law, and
he's wrong.
Talking about how since he's a medical doctor, he knows, and I'm like, dude, if you're a fucking medical doctor and you don't even know about like the evolution of pathogens, like I seriously question your abilities as a doctor if you don't know this shit.
You see, the theory becomes a law, and the law becomes a theory, and then the quantum phase shift of filling my balls, and what was the question?
Basically.
Okay, that's funny stuff.
But no, he's got another one. I mean, some other things that this guy did is he's allegedly got a video where he defends bin Laden, so I'm trying to find that so I can make a video about it. He's got some other shit where he basically said that he sympathizes with the terrorists because they're just defending their homeland. I've got some objection to that too.
I think, in terms of being an apologist, he is in Islam's probably biggest or most famous or infamous.
That guy, you know what he does? He talks a mile a minute.
Yes, that's what separates him from all the other, say, Christian apologists, and that is they all at times lie or just twist things, misrepresent facts. Right? They all do that. He is just more blatantly obvious And because, as you said, because of how fast he talks, he does it a hell of a lot more regularly. Almost every sentence is an outright lie or a misrepresentation.
And have you noticed how he quotes the New Testament all the time?
Which he quite often gets wrong.
He always gets it wrong because he's going a zillion miles a minute. How the hell does he know what he's talking about? And you can't even stop to talk about each point he's making because he's just bullshitting.
All his fans and supporters actually think that he has a photographic memory when it comes to the Bible.
Yeah, he's probably getting it fed into him through his earpiece or something. Basically his quote.
He honestly, that's his shtick.
Well, yeah. I mean, one of his, I guess, famous or infamous quotes you can say is that to him, Islam is as obvious as 2 + 2 = 4. That's how obvious Islam is, apparently. It's like, oh, it's correct. And that's what he actually said when he was talking about why he thinks apostates, or no, not apostates. It might be apostates. He was saying that somebody should be killed if they're teaching their religion in Islamic land, and he was saying the reason for that is because you're confusing people. Like if you were teaching that 2 + 2 = 5, you should be killed as well. And I'm like, no, not at all. It's not that obvious. And even if someone did teach math like that, you shouldn't kill them for it. Prove that you're correct, and then that'll settle it.
Well, he's just a cultist, really. So, what's the big surprise? Honestly, anyone who thinks that Islam is correct in every single way is just a cultist
and an idiot.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. But you can't really prove that. But you can just say that they're acting like a cult member.
Or any of the Abrahamic religions, really.
Yeah, pretty much. I would agree with that. Although I see them as very different, one from another. They're not all the same. I mean, I know atheists tend to see them in the exact same way, but they're wrong.
They definitely do function different. This is something I've talked about when it comes to, talking about Muslim terrorists, is that there's not really too many Christian terrorists. There's not too many Christians that are going out and beheading people for committing sins in their religion. But if you read the Bible, it's got just as many passages as the Quran that says you should kill the infidel.
Well, that's where I disagree
no,
with you.
It doesn't.
That's where I disagree with you.
Yeah, and it doesn't actually. It's a very okay. You sure you wanted to make this an hour-long show? Because if I start on this, we're
okay.
going.
Well, you can start.
I'm
That's
fairly
fine.
sure there's passages there.
But let me have my say
right.
quickly. Let me say something quickly about the Christianity that I'm going to say right now. My take on Christianity is that it is hateful, intolerant, and the Christians are the most intolerant, hateful people who spew hatred to whoever is listening to them, and that is my experience from Christianity, most of which is I have received through here at these hangouts over the last few years and hanging out with Christians. They are full of hate, they are intolerant, yet they love you. They are don't trust them. The end.
Right, exactly.
I would differ only in the sense that Christianity and Islam are just as intolerant as each other, in my opinion.
Oh, I totally agree.
No, okay. Yes, but the things that the Christians are told to do about it are different than the things that Muslims are told to do about it.
Yes,
okay?
But intolerance is still intolerance.
Yeah, okay, but if somebody, all right, here's the difference, okay? All right, there's no call to execute anybody in Christianity, ever. All right, so that's why most Christians hate gays, but don't really do. I mean, there's gay bashing, yeah, but those are the extreme outliers. Okay,
They gay bash on the Hangouts all the time. What are you talking about?
Well, that's
No,
why.
I mean I'm talking about like hitting gays. You know,
That's
like,
no
like beating
difference.
them
I'm
up.
sorry.
No,
I'm
there is a
talking
difference.
about. I'm talking about the
Wait
Well,
a
doctrine.
there's a
minute.
difference in that one.
Is
That
this
one
free
experiences
speech or
physical
not,
harm.
Sid? Is this free speech or not? If I want to insult people, I have every right to do it, as long as I don't actually get violent with them. There is a major difference, and you should recognize this, of all people.
It's still abuse.
It's abuse, but it's a different kind of abuse. And frankly, as a person who respects free speech, you should be the one who recognizes this more than anybody else.
Why is that?
Because your whole shtick is about free speech.
Yeah, I understand that. How did I violate my own shtick?
Because you're essentially saying that it's the same thing. It's the same thing as beating up gays, and it's not the same thing. I completely disagree with you know, verbally abusing gays for being gay. I think that's horrid, and it's just wrong. But is it illegal? No, it isn't, and it shouldn't be. You know, as well as, you know, I'm Jewish. I don't want Nazis being banned because they say bad things about Jews. Okay.
Then you don't disagree with me, because I have never said that I want those things banned either.
Right, but it's not the same thing. Then the same thing would be.
What's not the same thing?
It's
abuse is abuse.
Right, but it's not the same as beating somebody up.
How is it different?
I just told you, speech is different from action. We all agree on this.
Okay, so hold on a second. So hold on a second. I've got something to say. Whoa, Randy, 1 minute. So I get beat up, okay, and I get abused, because that's physical abuse. But if I get emotionally abused and verbally violated, that's fine. I have no reaction to that, and
That's your problem.
And I have to deal with it myself, right?
Get some confidence. That's your problem.
Yeah, it's not against the law.
Randy, sorry, go ahead.
It's not against the law. Okay.
I was supposed to, like, you guys, it seems like you're talking around each other a little bit. You're not really agreeing. You know, both of those things are abuse. Are they the same kind of abuse? No. But both of those things can be fairly defined as abuse, whether it's physical or mental or, you know, verbal, whatever. It's still fair to call that abuse. It's not the same kind of abuse, and one of them is more highly illegal than the other, for sure. But I mean, if you go and attack someone, you know, you physically harm them, they're gonna arrest you most likely, and it should be that way. And yes, that's still. If you go and just verbally berate someone and call them a piece of shit, that's still abuse, but that's not illegal.
Exactly.
But we're not talking about illegal. We're talking about.
We are, though. We're differentiating.
We're talking about respect for one another.
Okay. Again, I was making a point about what Christians do versus what Muslims do. In the Christian world, I know that's offensive to some, but as long as people say the Muslim world, I don't give a fuck. In the Christian world, you know, gays are not thrown off of tall cliffs or buildings and then stoned to death because they're gay. They first of all, in the Christian world, and almost the entire Christian world now, it's legal not only to be gay, but legal to be married as a gay couple. Okay, compare that to the Muslim world, where it's not only illegal to be gay, but they'll kill you for it outright in front of a mob of frenzied, insane, barbaric savages. Okay, there is a major difference. In you know, yes, you have outliers. Yes, you have people who essentially are, you know, act like terrorists against gays. But there is, in terms of society, in terms of the law, in terms of what most people do, it is not even comparable. It is a completely different thing. And how you don't agree with this is just beyond me.
The one point that I disagree with what you're saying is, in the Christian world, even though what you said is correct, I agree with all that, but where certain sections or certain parts of society bully these people to the point of suicide, that's where I stop drawing the distinction, because they may as well have thrown them off the roof of a building themselves. Now, what they've done is technically not illegal, but they've still done it, and they've still been complicit in their death.
Yeah, so you can actually make a civil case. You can make a civil case.
Let him finish.
Right.
That's where I don't draw the distinction.
Well, you can make a civil case for responsibility, but it's not the same thing as a legal case for breaking the law. That's a very different thing, as evidenced by the O.J. Simpson trial and then the subsequent trial where he was still found culpable, but he wasn't guilty under the law. He was found culpable for their deaths.
Now, how do you I still haven't been able to unravel that?
I did say that even though technically they haven't broken any laws, they are still complicit in that person's death.
Right. Yeah. There is a difference. And I'll say that I agree with you. I agree with you that they would be culpable, yes, and that they should pay reparations or make some sort of amends and learn from that. You know, we should, as a society, teach, you know, from that experience what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable. But that's a very different thing than what I was talking about in terms of legal, you know, doctrines and legal actions, etc. That's a very different thing.
Well, I mean, here's the way I look at it when it comes to bullying, which I think is basically what Damien brought up, is when it comes to bullying, if one person calls you a piece of shit, that's not going to be enough to drive you to suicide. If you have a support structure, if you've got friends and family that actually love you for who you really are and they're giving you encouragement, then you're not going to kill yourself just because one person's calling you a piece of shit.
Okay.
So I would say the best way to avoid that suicide is just for people to have a support structure.
Kenny, what if your family and your friends love you for what you are, if you're gay or whatever, but they love you, and you're the best thing for them. But what if your government of your country hates you and has a law in place that if you are gay, you have to die or you have to go to jail or whatever? I believe there are some countries that actually have legislation like that. I'm not quite sure which. Maybe somebody can help me out. Randy, do you know anything?
Well, Saudi Arabia has a law like that.
Iran, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Oman.
Okay, how about non-Muslim countries?
I can't think of any.
I mean, Russia might as well have that.
Oh, yeah,
Russia. How about Uganda?
I believe that did it pass. I can't remember if it passed or not, but yeah, they would fit into that category. Yeah.
There are lots of Christian nations that still execute gays, that still kill gays in the streets and do heinous, wicked, awful fucking shit. I feel like that comparison you made was completely unfair to the real harm Christianity does. You're talking about in the Western world. In the Western world, Christianity has been drug kicking and screaming into the modern times. Yes, that's true. Outside of the Western world, no, it hasn't. It's just as fucking backwards as Islam is, and they're doing just as much evil, heinous, wicked shit. They're killing people in the fucking streets. Hell, there's places like Uganda, as you know, Kenny brought up that one in chat, where not only are they killing gay people, hell, they're killing Muslims. They're killing each other. They're just fucking killing everybody.
I know that, but I was talking about doctrines originally. There is nowhere in the Bible, in the New Testament, where it says you should kill gays. In fact, it doesn't say you should kill anyone. It says turn the other cheek. There is a couple of passages where you can infer violence from them, but you really have to twist yourself around to do it. Okay. There's you know, one passage where Jesus says, you know, bring them before me, and you know, with this time,
that's not a credible. That's not
actually like what he's telling other Christians to do.
Okay, let Randy talk, because he doesn't quote the Bible. Go ahead.
I just want to point out, like you said, there's nowhere in the Bible. First, you said there's nowhere in the Bible that tells you to do stuff like that. Yeah, there is. It's all through the Old Testament.
Then I said.
Well, let him finish. Let him finish.
You switched it to the New Testament, and even then, I think we could have a pretty good discussion or debate on whether or not that's true, because I would claim the New Testament absolutely still tells you some of that stuff. And so, I mean, we could have a separate discussion about that, but the point is that outside of the Western world, Christianity treats gay people just like Islam does.
And the other thing is, you know, not to call you a Christian apologist, but I'm saying that this is something that a lot of Christian apologists do, where they try to say that, oh, you know, Jesus came and that makes the Old Testament irrelevant. That's not the concept at all. The Old Testament, if you actually read the Bible, is still very relevant. Jesus did not get rid of the Old Testament. The only thing that Jesus really abolished was animal sacrifices. That's it. But all the law that's still in the Old Testament, that's still relevant. Okay,
I recognize that. I never said any otherwise.
But okay, but hold on. But killing gay men and women is part of the law. The law is Leviticus.
Right.
And it says if a man lies with another man as he does with a woman, he shall be put to death.
That way. Christians do not see it that way.
Some of them do in Uganda.
Very few do.
Only. I'm going to let Foxhole speak for Christians and not Nathaniel because I think that's more of a credible position.
Well, I was raised as a Christian. I was trying to become a fucking minister when I became an atheist. That's why I started reading and studying the Bible. But the Bible absolutely tells you to do these things. And one more time, like I know I'm repeating myself, but it's only in the Western world where it has evolved beyond that. It is only because of Western values, which is from like the common law that developed across Europe independently, that we have that now. Anywhere outside of the Western world and Western values, Christianity treats people just as shitty as Islam. Just as shitty. It's only in this little pocket of sanity, of civilization, where Christianity is better now.
Right. I'm not denying that. I'm not saying that Christians don't act terribly towards gays and others in other parts of the world. I'm saying, however, that in Christianity it's pretty well accepted that this is not part of the doctrine. All right? You cannot... All right, let me make this case. The difference is that you can reform Christianity to say that. You cannot reform Islam to say it, which is why you have such a disparity between the two worlds.
Wow.
Okay?
Why?
I mean, why?
Well, because, like, Christianity absolutely said put gays to death, and moderate believers internally reformed that religion. What's so different about Islam?
Because you can reform Christianity, you cannot reform Islam.
No, and we're trying to determine why. That was my question. Why would you make that claim when considering the evidence I just provided?
Because, no, you didn't provide evidence, because the evidence is that Muhammad's word is perfect. The word of the Quran is perfect and immutable. You cannot change it. That's the whole point about why Islam is so fucked up.
Watch this. Watch this. Yeah, I got a Quran. I got a pen. Watch me change it.
Right.
Well, I kind of have a disagreement about what you were saying about you can't reform Islam. I've actually had Muslim friends in high school, and I have asked them before, like, you know, what are your views on things like gay people? And they did not say gay people should be put to death. They said actually the same exact thing I hear Christians say, which is that Allah will sort them out. Allah will judge them, let them do whatever it is that they're doing, and they'll say, you know, I don't agree with it, blah, blah, blah. But they're not prescribing beheadings for them. So I totally disagree with that. I think it has more to do.
You don't have to disagree with me. You can disagree with the Pew polls that show that something like 40% of British-born Muslims think that death for apostasy is a good idea. That the same number think that Sharia law should rule the land. These are British-born Muslims. This is not okay. So everybody has, you know, Muslim friends who tell them one thing, but what they're telling the Pew polls are completely different. This is, and yes, it's a minority. 40% is a minority, but it's a huge friggin' minority. If 40% of Christians in America said that, you know, non-Christians or people who leave Christianity should be beheaded, and that Christian law should rule the land, okay, and truly believe this, we would be screaming about this. But we're not screaming about the fact that, you know, Muslims believe this by, you know, vast numbers. This is a ridiculous point to make about the differences between, you know, Islam and Christianity. There's a huge disparity between the two, and it shows in the polls, okay? It shows in the polls worldwide. The number is even larger. It's scary how large the number is. You do not have these kind of numbers in the Christian world overall, okay? If you ask the Christians the world over, should, gays be thrown off a building and apostates be beheaded, you will not get even close to the numbers you get in Islam. And the reason you get to those numbers in Islam is because they have doctrine to support them.
So do Christians.
No, they don't, because I told you, you can reform Christianity. You cannot reform Islam. It is blasphemy to even suggest in Islam that you can reform Islam. It is blasphemy to say that Muhammad's word is not perfect in every single way.
But listen, Christians also believe this for a long time. There is no difference. Not only did they believe it, they fucking killed people for challenging them. However,
I agree.
Over time, moderate believers slowly changed that, especially in the Western world. Predominantly, mostly in the Western world. That's why in the Western world you see this evolution where you can say they can reform that. It's because they spent so much time looking at it the same way that I just said. And there's no difference between the passages in the Bible and the passages in the Quran. They say the same kind of stuff. They believe just as fervently. The only difference today in modern times is that there's just more Muslims.
No. Again, I told you why. There is a tradition since Jesus of interpreting.
No, the same thing.
Right. There is a tradition in Christianity of being able to interpret the words of Jesus. There is this concept is blasphemy in Islam. That's why you had Christian reformists. You have a few Islamic reformists today, but they are completely outside of the norm. We're talking about a handful. We're talking about, Majid Nawaz and a few others. I mean, we're not talking about, even thousands of people. We're talking about hundreds of people, okay? This is not going to go anywhere anytime soon. I mean, he's trying, and I commend him, and he and his ilk are really risking their lives. Literally, they have death sentences out on them with police protection simply for saying that you can reform Islam, simply for saying that we should change some passages in the Quran, or we should disregard some passages in the Quran. For that, right, but there were a lot more people supporting that idea in Christianity than there are Muslims. And then the fact is, in Christianity, you had a tradition of it. You do not have that tradition.
Okay, it's response time. Response time for Randy.
I'm sorry, Sid, what?
It's your response time now.
You have the floor, Randy.
Well, okay, so Christianity, you had the exact same thing. At a certain point in history, you didn't have nearly as many reformists, if you will. That took time. The same thing it's going to do with Islam. It's going to take time. Eventually, because, and this is just, I don't have a lot of evidence for this other than to say look back at history and see how history played out. Maybe that's good evidence. But
Luther and Reformation.
Saying that, over time, things generally, people, no matter where they're from, no matter what culture, what color, how tall they are, how fat they are, it doesn't matter. They generally trend towards trying to become better, right? In our modern times, without something massive taking over to stop education and stop growth, that's just not going to happen. You're not going to have that dead, stale point. And so without that, Islam will slowly reform, whether they like it or not. They will be drugged into modern times, whether they like it or not. They have to, otherwise they can't do basic business. They can't have commerce. They can't have an economy. And there's so many people in those countries that want those things desperately. Believe me, I've been over there to Iraq. I've traveled all over the country. I've seen the places. I've seen the cities. There's a ton of millions and billions of people over there that want to have a thriving economy, and they can't have it without slowly reforming those things that allow them to interact with other countries. They're not going to have a choice. And so if you look at Christianity, there was a time where they said, no, we kill gays. And if you challenge that, they killed you. It took time. They didn't have a lot of supporters at first. But fundamentally, when you look at them on that, there is no difference in Christianity and Islam. They are in the same boat. Islam, at least, is in the same boat that Christianity was in. It has very few reformer supporters, and it has all these what we would call heinous values. And they will reform those over time. I guarantee you. There's no way to stop it. The only question is, how long will it take?
And I would also say that Christianity has had more time to be reformed than Islam, because if I remember correctly, Islam wasn't really created until around 700 AD. So if you were to take away 700 years from Christianity, I mean, look at how Christianity was in the 1300s, you know?
Yeah, I don't buy that argument, though.
But that it's had less time to reform?
I don't buy that argument in the modern age.
What do you mean, that it hasn't had more time to reform?
Yeah, because I do not think that this applies any longer.
No, I wouldn't. I'm saying that Christianity has had more time for it to take place. There's been more chances for the the different movements like the Lutheran Reformation and other reformations that have taken place. There's been more time for it to happen in Christianity versus Islam. That's what I'm saying.
I understand that argument. I'm saying it does not apply. The way I see it, does not apply in the modern age. Okay. We're talking during the Reformation. We're talking about extremely limited communications between societies, between even villages and townships, etc. We are not in the same situation today. It's a bit like saying that, okay, back then in the 1300s and the 1400s, you could have like a doctor, for example, who would have to start like all the medical knowledge from scratch, from essentially town to town, whereas today doctors who go to medical school start with all the same knowledge that every other doctor starts with in any other university, okay, because of the difference in communications. So you have a huge difference in terms of the situation than you did from back then. Essentially, people are aware of the Reformation today. You don't have to start that idea from scratch anywhere in the world as long as you have internet access, okay? This is not an argument that somebody can make to me in a successful way.
You realize that, like, I don't know about all the nations over there, but from what I saw of Iraq, we're talking like 85% of it doesn't even have electricity or running water.
I understand. But they have cell phones.
Like you're talking about. They just do not have the kind of communication you're talking about. The vast majority of Iraq is completely undeveloped. They don't talk to anyone outside of their villages sometimes. There are people,
I understand. I've been to Egypt. I would say that Egypt's probably even worse, actually.
There are people who grow up in this little huddle of 15 buildings and never leave it. They're born there and they die there.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, and I would say that with the the fact that Christianity has had more time to reform. What I'm saying is that it takes time for a religion to reform. We know that. It doesn't just happen overnight. So the argument that I'm making from the time, right, so the argument that I'm making from, Islam hasn't been around as long as Christianity, is that it hasn't had as much time to reform. Does it need to reform? Absolutely. Yes, it does. But so far, the only real reformation I think that has happened to Islam is the creation of the Sunni and Shia sects. That's it. So
that's not really a reformation.
Well, it still is, because Islam says that you're not allowed to have sex, but yet they did it anyway. So they went against the Quran, and they created the different sects, the Sunni and Shia.
Okay. Yeah, but that is not exactly. It's not like a Christian sect. It's simply the difference of the inheritor of Muhammad, essentially who should rule the kingdom of Islam. It's not a difference in terms of, it's not like, it wasn't really a doctrinal fight. It was essentially a power struggle. There's a huge difference there. Right.
I mean, that's the thing. The reformations are going to come from very small things. Like when you look at the Protestant movement, because it used to be all Catholics, but the Protestant movement essentially got started because King, I think Henry I, wanted to get a divorce. So he's like, yeah, Henry VIII. He wanted to get a divorce. So they created the Protestant, the Protestant sect essentially just for divorce reasons, and then that branched off into other things, the Lutherans, Calvinists, and all that other shit.
Well, no, that too was a power struggle. Okay, it was a power struggle because Henry didn't want the Pope telling him what to do.
Right, because he wanted to be divorced.
Well, no, it wasn't just because he wanted to be divorced. Henry did not think that the Pope should have any say over the line of succession in England. Okay, he did not think that the Pope had the right to tell the British, the English, who should actually succeed on the throne. That was what the argument was truly about. It was about power politics. It was not, I mean, it was, yes, it was doctrinal in the sense that the Pope was using doctrine to try to tell Henry, that essentially you can't have your way in terms of the lineage of succession. Henry's argument was, yes, I can do whatever I want, because I'm the king and I'm the one who determines who is going to rule after me. Okay, as does every other king in the kingdom, in any kingdom which counts, which has any merit. So it was essentially who had the right to tell the British who was going to be the next king. Was it going to be the Pope, or was it going to be Henry? That was what the argument was about. And the only way for Henry to essentially get his way was to kick out, the influence of the Pope. Is to say, okay, your power no longer has any sway here, where you always did before, but now it no longer does. And then they massacred a whole bunch of Catholics, etc. I mean, the history is well known, but that's what it was about.
Okay, and in order to get one of these reformations with Islam, you just need one man in power to disagree with another man in power. And then if the man that wants to do the reformation ends up winning, you'll have a reformation.
No, because there is no Pope in Islam.
Look, you already have the makings of this situation happening. So I was I didn't know a whole lot about the guy, but apparently the new leader of Egypt who was elected is more or less secular-minded, I guess. At least,
yes, he is.
In contrast to a lot of the other people there.
Yep.
But he is a Muslim.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so it takes someone like that who's now leading Egypt. Egypt just had what you might consider a tiny reformation, where instead of going full throttle, balls to the wall Islam, they weren't happy with that, And I mean, clearly they weren't happy. They fucking rioted in the streets. I mean, yes, it's for lots of reasons, but I mean, the point is that you went from a militant believer in control to a moderate believer in control. And that, you could say that's small. That's one little thing. But that's what it's just like evolution. It's lots of little things added up over time. That's one of those little things. Give Islam a few hundred more of those, and they won't seem so backwater.
I've got a question. If we can just, we don't have much time left, like just over 10 minutes. But I was just wondering if any of you guys see an inevitable clash coming between Sunni and Shia. Is there going to be some kind of a Armageddon there or something, in your opinion?
What do you mean coming? It's here.
It started
in Yemen.
They're already clashing.
Yeah, what I was thinking as you asked that. That's already
happened.
Well,
they're not really clashing. They're kind of dancing around each other.
I mean, the Saudis
I'm talking about
MMA.
I'm talking about MMA, man. That's what I'm talking about.
I would say men with armed, with AK-47s, pulling over some truckers, getting them out, asking them some questions to determine whether they're Sunni or Shia, and then shooting them in the back of the head because they're the wrong one. I would count that as a clash.
Yeah, that is a clash. That's a regional clash.
That for years in Iraq now.
I'm saying, is Saudi Arabia and Iran going to go to war?
You're talking like a full world war. Is that what you're talking about?
No, between the two of them, whatever it involves, maybe a full war, but it doesn't matter. Are they going to be a clash between those two centers of Islamic two different centers, two different sects of Islamic control and thinking.
Oh no,
hate
maybe.
each other.
I don't know. They might.
It's inevitable, though.
Yeah, probably.
Anybody
But you know
else?
what? You should just drop some porn and some bacon on those countries
Okay,
so that they
I'd
can
like to
learn
get
about how
Damien's-
good Western shit is.
I'd like to get
Oh, they
Damien's.
already have the porn.
I'd like to
Give
get
them
Damien's opinion. Hold on a minute on my question. Is there an inevitable clash coming between Iran and Iraq? I mean, Iran and Saudi Arabia.
I don't know. I think it's hard to say. You've got two powerful countries with big armies. I think on one hand, you could almost say Saudi Arabia is trying to find the word reluctant to enter into a war like that. They're more just concerned about themselves and their own interests. Iran would probably be more likely to willingly do that. So I don't see either side as being as determined to get into it as the other opponent is in that sense. Doesn't mean it won't happen.
No, but don't you think that as these terrorists, I mean these extremist groups, as they're fighting their little wars, like in Syria and Iraq and in Sinai and in Libya and wherever that, Tunisia, as they're fighting all these little wars between each other, killing each other for what they are and what they're not, between the Muslims, okay, it's going to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow because that's the kind of shit that happens if you don't stop it. It just grows. Will there be eventually a breaking point where the line has been crossed? There's now, it's now no more proxy war between Saudi Arabia and Iran. It's now the whole world's involved now.
Yes.
I think
it's coming. I absolutely think it's coming.
I think the Obama plan is a dead cert that this is going to happen.
The Obama plan? Oh, you really?
Well, you don't have to take my word from it. You
No,
you could take the Saudis themselves.
I want to hear what
essentially,
tell me.
essentially said that they're going to create a nuclear bomb.
Who?
Thank you, Mr. Obama. The Saudis.
Well, the Saudis will create one if Iran creates one, right?
No, the Saudis have said at this point that they're going to create one anyway. They do not trust.
They don't trust Iran. That's why, and that's what I say. That's why I say that this deal has fucking sold Israel down the river. That Obama has made
I don't know if it's sold Israel down the river as much as sold the entire region down the river and possibly the entire world.
I don't give a fuck for the entire region. I give a fuck for the security of Israel. That's it.
Yeah, but I do think that it's a problem if it essentially is the entire world that's going to suffer because of it.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think they will. I think that unfortunately you're going to hit a situation where you have to let other nations stand up and face some of these problems that we faced on their own. The whole world watched on as America almost started a nuclear war before as well.
Right.
And so that was a global concern.
What if Khrushchev had been the Ayatollah Khrushchev?
But at the end of the day, I think that most people really, I don't think there's really any ruler currently that is so fucking insane that they don't understand the side effect of starting a nuclear war. I just don't think they would do it. I think most human beings, even the fucking crazy ones, are smart enough not to do that. I think they see that. It's mostly just the status. I think this is almost like the politics game. It's status. India has a nuclear weapon. They're the
so
status.
does Pakistan.
So it's like their vote matters, right? In the United Nations.
It's a dick measuring contest. That's why we make nukes look like dicks.
That's what they're doing. And look, you're going to have to let some of these other nations do this, even if they're staring each other down as they're having their own arms race. This is going to happen. These are like the growing pains of fucking humanity that We excel past other nations and did this a long time ago. Well, at some point, it would be nice if the world could get on the same fucking page. So I'm actually kind of for this, unfortunately. I don't know.
You're for nuclear proliferation?
Opinion, but
you're for nuclear proliferation?
No. That's gross oversimplification of what I just said.
Well, I'm just curious. So you're not for the situation?
You're asking different questions and pretending they're the same question.
They're not. They are the same question. They are the same question.
Ask one question only.
Yeah,
are you for nuclear proliferation?
No, I'm for humanity growing up and going through the growing pains it needs to grow up.
All right.
Okay, listen. Okay, hold on, everybody. We've got 5 minutes left. Yeah. It's time. It's time to start wrapping up. If you guys have got something to plug, you're more than welcome to plug anything. I am going to leave the secular TV plug to the master Randy himself, because I don't know, I'm not really that well practiced, and we do need to have more patrons in our Patreon account for Secular TV, and Randy has a T-shirt, so I'll let him do it. But I'll let him do that last. I'll start off with Damien. Damien, anything to plug? Anything to say? Anything?
No, not at the moment.
Nothing coming up?
I wanted to start making a video today on a certain issue, but I've got webcam issues now. It's not working, so I need to sort that out before.
Okay. Will we see you next week?
Yes.
All right. So that's fantasticals. Kenny?
Yes, I have. Let me come back on camera for this. Today I will be recording and uploading Problems with the Bible Part 9, where I'm going to look at the issues regarding the story of Jonah and the whale, or Jonah and the giant fish, whichever fucking one you want to call it. That's going to be up on my channel. I'd say give it 4 to 5 hours.
Fishy story, if you ask me.
Oh yeah,
Nathaniel.
Nathaniel. Yeah.
What's the word from Israel?
Nothing really.
No.
Yeah.
Shalom. Nothing. See ya. Will you be here next week?
I can't say shalom. I've been massacring bandits this entire time. What's shalom about it?
Okay, Israeli heathen. Are you going to come back next week?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay,
if I'm available, I will probably be unavailable at some point in August, because I'll probably be going to go scuba diving for about a week or so again. Just to let you know.
Sure. All right. Well, we'll let you off that week. How's that? All right, Randy.
Well, it's more like 10 days or so, but...
okay. No problem. Randy, it's all yours for the next 2 minutes.
So, by the way, you don't have another show coming up right after you, so you're not in a rush. But so Secular TV, as you said, does need more patrons. We have some specific goals we're trying to meet, such as becoming a non-profit organization. We're going through a company called the Foundation Group. Which is, they do nothing but build nonprofit organizations. So they're a fantastic organization. Our total sum, including their fees and all the state and federal fees we need to do this, is about $4,000. That's not really so bad, all things considered, starting up a nonprofit organization. Also, there's some perks that come with going through the foundation group, such as they'll help us maintain compliance, they'll help us make sure we know everything we need. They'll, anything that comes up, people have to go through the foundation group, and they'll teach us everything we need to know over that first year to do this continually from then on. So they're going to work with us kind of like we work with content creators. I very much like that. So if you want to contribute to helping us meet that goal, because that's going to be a big deal for our content creators. That's going to help us get sponsors, people that are looking for tax write-offs who want to donate to a good cause. That's going to help us fund our content creators, do the advertising programs we want to do, to get them better software to make the content they make. And so these are our next goals. We also want to support our content creators with merchandise, help them find them their shows, direct sponsors that sponsor that show and that show only. But all of this is a part of first becoming a nonprofit. So we're not spending any money. Secular TV's account is saving every dime outside of our $50 patrons get a free T-shirt from our store. We've paid for a couple of those. And then we also made a promise to pay for a couple of shirts for the first 2 people we had go out to events, like conventions. So we did that. But outside of that, Secular TV is saving every dime it gets from Patreon, from PayPal donations, etc., because we are trying desperately to get that goal. That's our next thing. Please consider becoming a patron. It greatly helps us out. It greatly helps our content creators out.
Excellent. Thanks, Randy. Okay, this is the wrap-up. You have been watching this week's edition of Reason Speak. My name is Sidney Winston. We appear every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Secular TV. Please join us again next time. I thank all my guests for their appearance and their time. Just remember, stay secular, be secular, and be happy.